You're back with The Nation and welcome to Transport Minister Gerry Brownlee, who joins us from Christchurch. Good morning, Minister.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for joining us. I want to open, you would have seen the report that we just ran on the program. We have asked Minister for progress reports on the costs so far on the roads of national significance. The NZTA says they couldn't supply us with that information. Why not?
Well, I think it depends on how you interpret the question that was asked. So the first point is that the New Zealand Transport Agency is the client when it comes to getting roads done. So they set a specification, they put together a project and they ask someone to bid to build it. Now, the internal costs for those things are a matter for the contractors, not for NZTA. NZTA does, of course, as a public body, publish its accounts. And so I think there's a problem here with the way the question might have been asked. Can I also say, look, you made the extraordinary statement in that piece there that the Waikato Expressway had all sorts of problems and was facing cost overruns. The estimate at the moment is that it will come in $40 million by the middle of next year under the 2009 price.
So you can monitor the costs then?
Well, of course, we're the payer. You know, we don't know what the day-to-day decisions are by the contractors as to how they, you know, complete a particular piece of work that they have put a price in to complete. But we certainly do have a budgeting process, there's no question about that.
And where is that budgeting process then at the moment? We can't get that information, Minister. Are the roads on budget
with all due respect,
and on track?
I think it may be the way it's asked. And I was also surprised by the comment from the one opposition MP that you spoke to. Yes, the NZTA appear before the Select Committee twice a year, as does, and annually you get the Ministry of Transport there as well. So on those occasions, the reach in for information is quite extensive.
Minister, putting aside the cost issues for a moment, what about the benefits here? Now, we know there's some argument about the cost-benefit ratio for something like the Central City Rail Loop, but it is at least as good, is it not, as something like the Puhoi to Wellsford Road of National Significance?
No, I think the two are entirely different. Puhoi to Wellsford is one of those projects that will significantly benefit the north and open up the prospects for greater economic benefit up there. And you've got a part of New Zealand up there with massive potential, but also a number of problems around the sort of employment that's available, levels of household income, that type of thing. And a connected road like this will make a difference there. You know, and I think the other thing, when you look at these cost-benefit ratios, we do them in a particular way that gives us a figure that is a guide for whether we should go ahead or not. Many other countries use different sort of calculations. What I can say is that if you went back to the 50s, none of the motorway projects or the Auckland Harbour Bridge or a number of other projects would have been done at that time if they'd simply slavishly looked at cost-benefit ratio. So you do try and look at the whole network of roads, the benefit to New Zealand's economy and therefore the pockets of New Zealanders over that longer period of time. We would estimate that by 2020 the roads of national significance will have about $1 billion annual effect on our economy in a positive way.
Specifically on the Auckland Rail Loop again though, why is it that your cost-benefit ratio is only 0.4 but the Auckland Council's is 1.1?
Well, that's what we're discussing with them at the present time. There's an analysis being done by the two groups there. It is an extremely expensive piece of infrastructure for a very short distance. And we're just interested in trying to understand whether or not it will make that much difference to Auckland's congestion. There are those, of course, who are really committed to rail and say that that's what it will achieve. What we are seeing, though, is a picture that on current planning would suggest that by 2040, and in infrastructure terms, that's virtually tomorrow, we could have similar all hours of the workday congestion that you get at peak times at the present time. So, you know, you've got to consider not just one little project, but a number. And on the particular project of the Central Rail Link, there is work ongoing with the Auckland authorities and our Ministry of Transport.
Mr Brownlee, is there any prospect of a section of Puhoi to Wellsford being flaked off? We know 300 million has already been taken out of Otaki to Levin Could the same happen with the Wellsford to Puhoi part of that road?
No, we're going through the exercise at the moment of trying to sort out the geological challenges that you have through that part of the country. But it is on the books for construction beginning in the 2015-18 period, and we intend to stick to that. I think our opponents would love us to start backing away from this because, in the end, they are the sort of projects that make a big difference to people and actually make a statement that New Zealand is a country that wants to have a first world growing economy.
Will you construct that road regardless of cost, Mr Brownlee?
Oh, look, I think at this stage we're doing all of the estimates that are necessary, or all of the investigations that are necessary to build a strong road. There is no indication yet that there will be cost problems that would make us change on that. So the position is that we are going to build that road.
Minister, we've had mayors on the story there and also other mayors around the country in regional places claiming that the funding for roads of national significance is taking funding away from what they want for their local roads. What do you say to that?
Well, I was staggered by the Southland story, quite honestly. I mean, they're getting a 4.5% increase in their overall allocation.
It's not as enough as what they want, though.
Well, hang on, I'm coming to that, Alex. Just give me a minute. So they're getting a 4.5% increase over the previous period. When it comes to just the road maintenance part, it's a 6.2% increase. And in the previous period, they didn't use all the money that they had and returned some to NZTA. So I'm really perplexed by that particular piece.
But there are other regions saying that they're not getting as much as they want. Timaru, the Southland, Clutha District Council, all in the South Island, really. These guys are being faced with intensification of dairy, of forestry. They're wanting to improve their roads to help get that milk out, get those trees out. They're saying the money isn't there and claiming that it's been sucked up by the roads of national significance. I mean, what's the chance of giving them the money, and why can't that happen? Why can't roads of national significance perhaps be on a longer time frame to allow for that to happen?
Well, that would deny that you need to have a transport network that does facilitate export out of our ports and airports. And they are in place because we do need to improve productivity in a freight sense. Well, what I can tell you is that there is a big program to replace bridges south of Christchurch, south of Ashburton, actually, Kurau Bridge, etc., which is more inland, which will bring a lot of stuff through to the port operation.
You've got to get the milk from the farm, though, don't you?
That's right, and that's why you do have to have a very solid network of roads. Fonterra are about to build the world's biggest drying plant, or they're in construction. It will be opened in Darfield, and some of that milk may well end up going as far north as that. So it's not a simple matter of saying, just give us our bit and we'll fix our bit. We're looking at this from a network perspective, and I want to say again that this is the biggest roading budget in New Zealand's history, $12.28 billion. A lot of money.
Wouldn't you be better placed, Minister, to fund some of that local roading around those intensified dairy areas, because the cost benefit surely would be better there than if you focus on the so-called holiday highway north of Auckland?
Well, the first point is that the holiday highway is a political term applied by our opponents because it tries to make it
But there's a point, because there's no...
It is not.
You said yourself there are challenges in the far north in terms of, the
That's
positions
right. And you won't
of people.
help them by denying them
largely it's used by people who pop off to the Bay of Islands on holiday, isn't it?
Well, that's your assertion. I don't see it that way. I think the potential for economic growth in the north of New Zealand is considerable, and that highway will help with that. But let's just go back to your point about putting extra money into the regions. The regions have all got extra money. And the point I'd make here is that you need to consider all of this as a network. And I go back to the Southland situation. They asked for 200 million. They got 165, but in the previous period, they couldn't spend all they got. So, you're getting a little bit of, I think, a bit of bandwagon stuff going on here as well, with all due respect to them.
Minister, are there other ways of funding these roads of national significance, PPPs, toll roads?
Oh, we're certainly looking at those options, and we would hope to have something more to say about that perhaps in the early part of next year. There are a number of toll roads around New Zealand. They are well used and they do make a big difference.
Which roads do you have in mind there, Minister?
Well, I think I've already said that we're looking at the prospect for transmission Gully in that regard. I know that there is a process going on at the present time to consider that possibility.
Christchurch?
I think we owe it to New Zealand's... no, there's no need to toll in Christchurch.
So there won't be any toll roads in Christchurch as you rebuild those roads?
As I can see, that is not likely to be the case. We've got the Southern Motorway, which is due for opening later this year, and also the Western Bypass, which is due for some of the preliminary work around the construction starting later in this current period.
Are tolls likely, Minister, then through Transmission Gully in Wellington? Will Wellingtonians possibly have to be paying tolls?
Well, you started the question by saying, are you considering the prospect of public-private partnerships?
And you said yes.
With toll roads, and I said that we are looking at those things, and one of the roads that we would look at would be Transmission Gully. But I can't say that there is a decision on that. I'm trying to be straight up front with you. You're wanting to push me to a decision before we've even begun the consideration. But
what about a theoretical figure or a proportion of that road that would need to be funded by tolls?
Well, as I say, let's do the work and see how it all comes out. What we can be comfortable with is that project is consented, and so it becomes a live prospect. Can I just go back to Christchurch, because I think that is a challenge for us. The National Land Transport budget is committing $50 million a year to that rebuild. It's a very, very big project, and we are going to look at other ways of funding that. But we're not looking at tolling. At the moment, we've taken out of our earthquake recovery fund close to 300 million or 400 million, I think, that we've committed over a period of time. And, you know, when you get extreme events like that, you need to have some capacity to work it. And the point I'd make is that for other parts of New Zealand where they have their roading budgets, they do get a different look at things when they're faced with emergency situations.
All right, Transport Minister Gerry Brownlee, we do have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time, though, this morning.
Thank you.